So here we go again for a whole another session, a whole another episode as we go through this series for Social Work Month. And it's such a great opportunity to just see what is happening in the field of social work. It is Social Work Month, and we are empowering social workers. We're inspiring action and leading change. My name is Amanda Flood, and I've just curated this wild series to bring as many social workers as I can to you. And not just because. Really, it is because we are doing amazing work, and social work is just one of those professions that people have all this like stigma around, or like negative beliefs and stories around. So I think it's good for us to hear what people are actually doing in the field, how they are contributing to change, and for us to sometimes hear to some of our needs when it comes to social work, because we really do need stronger advocacy. We definitely need higher pay. We need more respect for the profession, as they say, put some respect on our name, right? And today I get to talk to somebody who is just as dope and has had a really good evolution in social work practice, has worked in so many different ways in the field, and I feel like has arrived at a different point when it comes to how she wants to serve in the field of social work. So help me welcome Miss Amanda Lewis. How are you, ma'am?
Hi, everyone. Hi. I'm doing well.
Phenomenal. So Amanda, tell us a little bit of what you do.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. So, I like your intro in terms of my evolution because I have truly evolved in this profession of social work. I mean, I've been in this field now for over 30 years. And so I've had an opportunity to kind of put my hands in a lot of different places. And so in this evolution, I've worked with many different populations, from substance abuse to HIV/AIDS, administration, quality assurance, and landed now in a place where I'm teaching.
Yeah.
And so as a college professor, that level of evolution and experience has set the pathway for where I am now, in terms of being able to go into a classroom and prepare other individuals to be social workers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not only from that perspective, but also, building a platform where individuals can come and, continue with that lifelong learning that we talk about in social work.
Yeah.
So I've worked in hospital social work. I did that for quite a few years. I've worked in agency work, developing policies and programs, and so all of that has been so meaningful and allowed me to really have a fuller understanding of social work, that it's not just this one-dimensional approach to how we help or even see people. And I think it's important for people to understand that social work is so versatile in what we could do, and that's what makes it such a special area to work in.
Fields, yeah. And I love that you really gave yourself permission to be in diverse fields, right? It sounds like from like the micro to the macro level, you've really done that work, and it's paid you back in experience,
Absolutely.
right? And have you found that that experience has been valuable? Because I feel like nowadays, maybe not everybody, but people are sort of like wanting to skip go. Like everybody want to have their own practice. Folks don't understand the value of things like supervision, continuing education.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't want to do that. But is that needed? Is the experience needed?
The experience is paramount to everything that we do. And I like that concept of skip and go. Let me just say this: don't skip go. You will end up, and I'm thinking from a monopoly perspective, in jail, right? Meaning that you're gonna miss so much rich information. You're
Yeah.
gonna miss so many opportunities to just develop your own context of practice wisdom, right?
Oh,
Right.
and
So
that you cannot get in school.
no, you
Right,
can't.
you
You
cannot.
can't
I
get
always tell my
it.
students, like, we are, yeah, you're in a graduate school program, but it's like we are giving you an empty toolbox when you leave here. And
Yep.
it's up to you to do that work, get that practice to fill that toolbox.
Absolutely. And to just come out of school and say, I want to go and do a private practice, and not get the experience, you're not filling that toolbox,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
so we say, don't pass go, like stop and just take a moment, because having an opportunity myself to evolve in the way that I did, by having these experiences and learning from the experiences. I'm not going to even say all of them were good. I was burnt out a lot. They weren't always the best experiences, but
Mm.
how do we grow and how do we develop that practice wisdom? It's by walking through the fire, right? And to be in a space where you now go into a private practice and you're working in a silo is
Mm.
dangerous.
It is, because
There's
you're
so
responsible for someone's life and well-being.
when you're not even sure how to develop your own, right? And I think that's a key context that we want people to walk away with, that guess what? Patience is virtue. Your
Ah,
turn is going to come. Now, when I was younger, I didn't understand that. I get it now.
yes.
So, for someone who has walked through that and made a lot of mistakes and had to learn, coming out of school, thinking, you know what, oh, I want to get a practice, I want to do this, but missing the key thing that having a practice is running a business, and I don't have an MBA,
That's it.
right? And in social work schools, we don't teach you how to run a business. That's
Right.
not a class, right?
Right.
There's no class on how to start a private practice
Right.
because
It's
the
probably
whole
a space we can evolve in as we think about
correct,
how do we meet the times and be more creative in our work, because we are really shifting, but
right.
there's still a lot of gaps in the learning and education. But yeah, we don't graduate with that.
And
Mhm.
that piece is important. And so how you get that is having an opportunity to work in different environments, right? So
Yeah.
do you have a lot of people that's coming out now who are going into private practice? Like they'll get their licensure and they'll go into private practice. We do. And I'm not knocking any of those individuals. But
Mhm.
what I will say, I'll leave this one thing for those who are listening to this. If you're going to do that,
Mhm.
do something part-time where you can go into an agency setting. Do something part-time where you can go into a school setting. Do
Right.
something part-time that allows you to be around your colleagues, that you can share information and that you can develop and you can grow and you can get supervision. That is so important to building who you are as a social worker who's maturing in the profession. It's
Mhm.
just like anything else that we do. You grow into this profession. I'm not the person that I was 20 years ago. I'm not her.
Right.
I've learned so many different things, and part of that was coming out of being able to work, um, and give back to the community from that perspective, because it's so easy to get lost in the private practice and
Mhm.
just be stuck in that. Um,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
then want to step back, right?
Mhm.
So that one piece is, if you can, because a lot of people are doing it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not saying anything is wrong with that at
Mhm.
all,
Mhm.
but I would say have an opportunity to be able to share with your colleagues.
Mhm.
And if you go into a private practice, try to join group supervision, or something where you have an opportunity
Still be
to
intentional. Mhm.
have that professional exchange with other colleagues in your profession.
Yeah, it's the exposure. And just like anything else, the exposure that really helps to develop you to a better clinician if that's what you want to do. And not just private practice, because it definitely is needed, right? There's not a lot of, especially clinicians of color, and to have social work representation in the field of private practice is a beautiful thing. But one, like private practice alone is not it, right? There's so many avenues that we could work in as a social worker, and I think as this series will show you. And even if it's not private practice, regardless of whatever it is you do, the exposure makes a difference. If you go into macro work and want to do like policy, right? If you are merging social work and law, the more exposure you have, the more conversations you have with your colleagues, the more you work with different bodies of people, it just gives you such a richer perspective to work from. And you
Right.
can't get that straight out the field, straight out
No,
of school, just graduating.
no. You're absolutely right. You can't. You can't.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You definitely can't do that.
So let me give you this, complete the sentence for me. Fill in the blank, right? Social work, inspiring action, leading change means dot, dot, dot.
Okay, so when I think about that, for me, that means leading by example.
Mm,
Um, and especially when we have, um, students who are coming out of programs, and as a professor, this is something that I try to drive and live by, right? So it's setting the example through my own actions, what I share with others, and then by motivating. So when you say leading by change, I look at that as a way of motivating people, motivating other people to do the same, right? So if I'm laying the foundation and I'm setting an example for you based on my own experiences, I'm hoping that it's my way of motivating you to think in the same perspective. I had a young lady who really helped me out a lot at one point in my career, and I kept saying to her, what can I do? Like, tell me how I can repay you for this. Like, what I want to, I feel like I need to do something for you. And she looked at me and she said, the only thing I'm going to ask you to do is pay it forward. What I did for you, I want you to do that for someone else. And I think that was huge because that's what this is, right? Inspiring action and leading that change. And that's exactly what she did. And I think I've been trying my best to pay it forward as much as I possibly could.
Mm,
So when I hear that, that's really what that means, that, we're setting the stage, right? We
mm,
are at a place where we've in our careers where people are looking at what we're doing, uh,
right.
and how we're doing it. And it might look easy because we work that hard and it looks easy, but for me, it's being transparent with individuals, and not if they're asking me questions about how I did something or how I developed something, I'm willing to share that information, right? Some people feel, threatened sometimes by others
There's
in
a
the
lot of
profession.
intimidation in the field, and maybe not just with social work, but within the profession,
Right.
health profession, or just as like adults, we don't play well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's what that really means for me, is that, I want to be a person who can set the example, but also be there to help and mentor people if they need it.
Hmm. So what's one thing people would find surprising about your work as a social worker?
Hmm. Um,
You're very creative, I have to say, like, you really leverage that expertise well and doing
well,
some amazing things, but
yes, yeah. So, I will say that, as a social worker, I think taking my experience as a college professor and now moving it to the next level.
talk about it.
So one of the things that I've recently done is I have become New York State has just recognized me as a continuing education provider.
Mhm.
And so and part of that was for me as a way to build my own practice and do things from that perspective, to be able to that lifelong learning.
Right,
But in my own research, what I found was that not many people actually have that. It's a daunting process. I won't lie about that. It's a very daunting
right,
process. Maybe jump
right.
through hoops. But in that, what I have decided to do is, how do I pay it forward? Is that I share what I was able to be able to do. And
Mhm,
so part of the training company that I recently started is this collaborative project where individuals who are interested in, offering CEs to
mhm,
colleagues or projects or conferences or workshops that they're doing, and they know they're going to have social workers present, that
mhm,
I will work with them in order for them to be able to offer CEs. But this is another way you grow your business,
right.
in terms of being able to give back the expertise and knowledge that we all are
Yeah.
developing, right?
Mhm, mhm,
Just
mhm.
having that, I think that is different, and that is something that we think about. Something that's surprising about us as social workers is that we are business minded individuals.
We really are.
Sometimes
And
people look at us that way.
yeah, because the skill it takes to even just be a social worker, to navigate problems, to find solutions, to teach, to educate, to hold space.
Mhm.
I think that does translate into being a business person, being an entrepreneur. And especially when you start to learn some of those skills, it's like we pick up really fast because we already have it,
Well, that's good.
you know?
Yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
But that's one surprising thing. You know,
I love it because I think it's a creative way that we don't necessarily think about. We could show up in social work. You could take that experience and teach it, and now here's an added layer of
well,
access. Right, we fight for access all the time, and now you're giving that to other professionals where we can add a CE layer to that, which we know people love. Y'all will come and pay for y'all CEs. So
And think about it. It's
yeah,
something, that, as a social worker in New York State, whether you live in New York State or just are licensed in New York State, right? Because I'm sure this is going to go far and wide. Whether
right.
you live here and you're licensed or you live in another state and you're licensed, we all have to do CEs.
We do.
Right? We're not going to be able to get away from it. And so if you are a person who likes to share information, likes to teach, have a level of expertise, why not take that opportunity to be able to share that and do it in a way where people can get a return on what they're investing in? And I think that's
Absolutely.
very important. So
Yeah. And listen, like it's not just beneficial to other folks, which is important. It's also beneficial to us, right? And sometimes it's kind of hard to look at ourselves and think that we deserve things, that we deserve financial increase, right? And that's why we work so hard. A lot of us hasn't have many positions because we're not paid well. And it's to meet a life and a lifestyle that we want. And I
right.
think we do have to think about how do we leverage our skills? And that is the value of experience, honey.
Yes.
You can leverage it, right? You can use it. I've used it to create books. I've used it to move on from therapy into coaching and bringing skills into corporations. So, how can you use that to not just support and teach and have that impact, but for yourself? Because we can create opportunities for ourselves too.
Yes, absolutely. And that's another avenue that many people have not looked at.
Right.
So after doing my own research and realizing that, my thing was, let me share. Let me
Yeah.
share what I found, and share with anyone who's interested in,
Mhm.
doing it. So um it's a new thing, and let's see how it's gonna work
Let's
out.
see what happens, and
See
that's
what
okay.
happens.
Listen, but you did it. Better to say I tried than I did it. So that is awesome. All right, so let's see. So we know what's surprising. We know how she is inspiring action and leading change.
Mhm.
Give us a little bit of the skills. What experiences or skills do you feel is essential for folks to be successful as a social worker? Because you got the years of wisdom to back it up, honey. But so
Uh,
let us know what we need to know. What do we need to do?
I think so. When we think about skills, and I don't want to go education. I'm gonna just take it from where we are as people. I think
Yeah.
one of the first things that we need to be successful as social workers is know who you are. I think that's the most important thing. And because knowing who you are means you're going to show up as a genuine person.
Mm,
And we're working with very vulnerable populations, and
yeah.
oftentimes people come into this profession based on their own scars. So
Yes.
you have to know, you have to be aware of that. I say that all the time. Awareness is so important in terms of who we work with, because you can go into situations where you're triggered and you end up moving in a space where you can't understand why you can't help that person,
Right.
because you as a
Or we
person,
do more harm in the
right,
process.
right, in the process. So when we think about that, I think, being aware of who you are is the first and foremost
Yeah.
essential to your success as a social worker. I think having a vision, whether
Mm.
your vision is you want to,
Oh, I love this.
find a good
Ooh,
position, right? And
yeah.
you in that position and you work that position, and or your vision is you want to be in one place and I'm going to stay here for a little while I develop something else and then I could branch out on my own.
Oh.
Everybody's not going to see your same vision. But if
Mm,
you are clear on your vision and you are passionate about what you want to do, success will follow.
mm.
I think oftentimes many people are afraid of stepping out and doing things because of the fear of failure. But what they don't understand is with success comes failures, but those failures are steps to you succeeding. And so having that, being aware, having a vision, and not being afraid to fail, but looking at it as a stepping stone to your success are the essential keys to being a successful social worker. The
Mm.
knowledge base is very, very important as well, but
Yes.
you can have all the knowledge in the world. But if you don't have those three components, the knowledge is going to sit, and
Right.
you're going to ask yourself, why did I come into this profession?
Right. you're more likely to burn out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And even consider leaving the profession, which is crazy because a lot of people are trying to come into it. Um, so I love that. And I think if you're in the space of this conversation now, it may be a good time to think about what is my vision for my career? Have you mapped that out? And in the beginning, you may not know. And this is the beauty again of, experience or working with people or having conversations with colleagues. Like reach out, ask, be a part of groups, right? We are both a part of the Black Association of Social Workers, the Association of Black Social Work, ABSW, and just that community, you get to hear other people's stories and experiences, and that starts to give you ideas of what else can I do, how else can I be. So as you're developing yourself as a person, you also get to develop yourself as, how do I want to show up and in my practice, in my purpose, right? So I'm just like really excited about this. These are the things that like make my spider senses tingle, honey. We have so much to give and it doesn't have to look this one way.
Absolutely.
Really does.
Nope.
It
It
really
does.
does. I was at this presentation thing the other day, and a gentleman who received an award, he had interned there, he'd gotten a job at the place, and he was like, "This is all I know." And he was happy about that, but that kind of broke my heart a little bit. Because
Mm.
it's like, but there's so much more to social work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And are you just content with this is all I know? Or are you considering a plan like, okay, I'm going to be here for X amount of time,
Correct.
maximize, these are my reasons why, right? Whether it's experience, whether it's learning, maybe there's health benefits that you need, and, whatever those things are. And then this is what I'm going to do. Or I'm going to be here and I'm going to do this on the side for a little while to explore my options. Create something for yourself. I think it just makes you more excited about this work. And as you learn things, you're like, wow, I could do this. Oh, what about this? And it's just so amazing out here. So don't limit yourself.
Yes. And people, and I just to kind of piggyback off of that, I think
Yeah.
that that's important because you're correct. There's so much out here to learn, and there's so many people who have levels of expertise and information that should be shared with other people. And so that was, as I thought about moving into this next phase, that's exactly what I started thinking about.
Yeah.
Just in terms of what we have to give back, whether you're looking at a particular group or whatever it is, we all have something to share. And having an opportunity to do that's important. So you're right. If, hopefully this person will not feel stuck in where they are, and that they'll develop some sort of vision to kind of make some steps for themselves.
Yeah, social work is a good gateway to vision. It gives you a good foundation.
Yep.
Um, Finish this sentence for me. I wish people understood social workers, dot, dot, dot.
Okay, so I wish people understood that social workers are people too. Let me go there, because I think oftentimes people don't recognize that we have lives
Oh,
out of the hard work that we do.
uh-huh.
That we chose this field because we wanted to help others, but
Mm.
I think that there's a place where we have to take time to take care of ourselves.
Oh, yeah, speak a word. We do work hard. Yeah.
And people don't recognize that sometimes,
Mm.
sometimes our colleagues don't recognize it. Our clients definitely don't recognize that. And I think when whether you're a social worker or not, recognizing that the person that's sitting in front of you um, has feelings, thoughts, um, ups and downs, just like everyone else, but has made a choice to be in a profession where they're balancing. I'm not going to say putting first, because we don't put it first, that we create a balance of helping others. But what I'm going to say is, in that balance, ensure that you help yourself. And that's important, especially now where we are in this time and all that's going on and all the people who are showing up that need help.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that we take the time to be able to help ourselves. So
Mm.
that's something I wish people understood about us as social workers.
Yeah. Oh, so powerful. Amanda, thank you so much for your
You're
time.
welcome, Amanda.
Like this one, I know, right? It was great to just like sit in wisdom. And I think this is what people we take for granted, and the beauty of doing this thing with folks that who've been doing it. There's so much that you can just gather. So this has just been like such an electric conversation. It went way longer than I thought, but there's so much here, right? So I really hope that everyone listening, that you get something from this. If you love it, please share so folks can see what we do and can really understand, especially other social workers too, how they can develop, and that there's just more to whatever avenue you've chosen to do when it comes to social work. We are needed everywhere. This is our month. We're going to continue to take action and inspire. And Amanda, thank you so much. Happy Social Work Month.
Same to you, and thank you for having me. This was wonderful. I really enjoyed this conversation that we had today.
Oh, such a pleasure. Happy Social Work Month, everyone. And we'll talk to you soon.